Hello and welcome to the channel. Have you wondered how the game works and want to find out how hidden mechanisms that would make you a better player or just have a more easy time? Then don't miss today's video of 20 tips and tricks as we dive deep into the finer details of this game to understand what is happening and how the systems behave. I will provide timestamps in the video description if you are only interested in a particular system or information. We start with some basic and simple items and get progressively more complicated. Let's get started. Number 1. Settings. Let's start with some great options to make your gameplay more enjoyable. Under Settings and General tab, you can get yourself a grandpa chair. It is a nice addition to the game and gives you some flexibility for stationary position on your bridge. You find it under the option called Play Mode, which has option for seated or standing. Standing is without the chair and is meant for people who play openly in the room, while seated is quite self-explanatory. However, you can play in both settings seated as it does not make much difference. Only benefit is you get the heated massaging grandpa seat. Another great option is where do you have your ship's menu screen when selected. You can find this option under Select Display. Here, options are static. Main hand and off hand. Default is static and will pull all the ship's menus somewhere on the screen where you can move that screen wherever you like and will stay there. If you don't like cluttered view, the other two options are great. Simply move the info screen on one of your hands. Personally, I use offhand as I use my dominant right hand for selecting and less used left hand for information on ships. Makes it much easier to manage for me. Select mode gives you a pointer and eyesight selection. This one is complete preference between the hand selection and the pointer. For me, the pointer is much more comfortable. Other important button is Reset Menu Positions, where it resets all the menus to their default positions if you accidentally push them behind you or far away. That becomes too annoying.
Please visit the equipment rental desk for pricing and availability.
Number 2. Formations. Are you tired of constantly giving orders to every single ship you have and for every correction go through all of your ships? Micromanaging can be very effective in the game, but it becomes very tedious, time-consuming and distracting most of the time. Using formations is a great tool to make your gameplay much easier, smoother and streamlined. To put your ship's information, click on a ship, drag it into another to get escort text and just release. At this moment, the selected ship will move into the formation of the targeted ship, but if you give it another command, it will break off and behave as separate. To mediate this, we must use the information behavior command on one of the ships and go to formation menu, which you will find here, and have three options for commands: self, which gives commands to individual ships; leader, which will give exact same commands to all ships information, provided you give the command only to the lead ship. If you give command to non-leading ship, they will break off and do whatever command you gave it. And the last one is a behavior as a group. This behavior makes every single ship behave as one, and it doesn't matter which ship you give the command. They will all execute it the same and stay together all the time. However, if you want to break off some ships of the formation, you have to change the formation behavior first before you can do that, or use the button Leave Formation. Some other important bits of information is that formations do persist through jumps, so once you set it up, it will stay like that until you manually break it. I also recommend to put similar ships with similar performance together, as they will be slowed down by the slowest denominator. And also do not put too many ships in the same formation, as they will be tripping over each other and slowing things down and make it more cumbersome. I personally work with 5 to 7 ships in the group. If you have 3 formations on a group setting, you effectively manage just 3 ships instead of say 15 that you actually have, and that makes gameplay much easier and enjoyable. Formation shapes will be coming at some point later. Number 3. Ship orientation and range controls. Using ship commands might not orient ships to your liking, or the situation demands, as weapons do have their firing arcs and blind spots, and most ships are biased to front, top being most concentrating firing area. To add some finer controls to your ship orientation, you can manually orient your ships the way you want to always face the enemy the way that benefits you. To do this, you must click on a ship, zoom in a bit, and find this gray transparent arrow that is on the same plane as your green arrow. Then drag it in the direction that you want your ship to face and release it. Now your ship will attempt to orient in that direction. However, understand that any new commands to this ship will cancel its orientation command, and this also works on formations. There are also range controls that will make managing your ships a bit easier, and these you find in this menu under the range setting. You can set ranges at which you want your ships to stay at when fighting other ships. We have none, minimum, optimal, and maximum ranges, which are calculated for individual ships considering your loadout. Once you set ship's range setting, it will automatically attempt to stay around the set distance to engaged ship. It will follow it and run away attempting to stay there. This is very useful if you have a short range, long range, or overlapping short and long range weaponry to keep the enemy at optimal distance. However, this is mostly useful for small and fast ships, as bigger, slower ships will have extreme difficulties staying at the desired ranges. It may also put your ships at disadvantage by constantly turning away from ships pursuing you, so use at your own risk. Number 4. Consumables and activation. In the game, we have the items that are consumable during the gameplay and do enhance your performance in the heat of the battle. We have the likes of projectile and missile boosters, jump fuel, and hull repair and subsystems. Consumables can be salvaged and bought from the stations. Once you have them in your cargo hold, you must activate their use for the first time only. After that, they will always be consumed when needed automatically. The way you activate it, you must pull up your menu, go to Ships submenu, click on Items option, and you will get this cargo hold menu where all the consumables in your fleet will be shown. At first they will be dark orange, and to activate them, simply click on each one so they become more yellow like this. At this point, this particular item will always be activated and used automatically, even when depleted and rebought later. Number 5. Overcapacity and how to deal with it. Overcapacity happens when you exceed your cargo hold capacity. When this happens, your ships become progressively slower. Depending on your configuration, it may or may not be a too big detriment. However, at some point, any ship will grind to a halt, so keep your eyes on being overweight. To deal with this, using the consumables in a fight will help, but it will be a slow burn. Fastest way to reducing the capacity is either selling the items in stations, which is best case scenario, or if you are really in a hurry, you can destroy a portion of them. The way to do this is to open your items inventory and click on the item in question and destroy the selected quantity. Speed will increase instantly. Also important thing to keep in mind is that the closer you get to max capacity, and especially over, the more likely you are to get interdicted when jumping to another system. Number 6. Reserves. Did you want to buy something new and you are now blocked by the game's maximum number of ships limit or total fleet value and do not want to sell your current ship? No problem. You can dock to a station and leave some ships in a reserve, freeing your limits for something new to replace them or just to try it out and see what fits you. All you have to do is in friendly system to dock and go in the menu into your ships and click on one of your ships and press on the button Reserve. At this point, selected ship will jump out and become gray on your roster. Now you have more space for other ships. Should you want to get it back, it is as simple as going to that specific system you left it in and go into your ship's roster, click on the gray ship and call it back, provided you have space that doesn't violate game limits. The ship will jump in the system and rejoin your active fleet. In the galaxy map you will have ships displayed under the system's name, so you can see where you left them in reserve. However, you cannot call on them from another system. Number 7. Captains. Why do you need a captain if you are the one commanding the ship, right? Well, no, you are more of an admiral that manages the fleet, not necessarily a captain. In practice, captains are another system modifier that improves your ship stats and through battles earn more experience, giving you better bonuses. Captains are very useful and give you bonuses to certain weapons, shields, speeds, energy points and other goodies. Especially do not miss the max energy points captains. To get a captain you must buy them from the stations from the tab Recruit. When you browse captains you will see what bonuses they carry and what level they are. Once you choose one, just buy them and they will appear on your roster. Then all you need to do is go to desired ship in ship's menu. On top of the ship's info, you will have either a captain present or empty space. Click on that button and choose your captain from the roster below and equip them. At that point, your bonuses are already active. To upgrade your bonus, your captain must first level up and reach required experience, at which point you get an upgrade point. You can use the point to upgrade the desired bonus, just like you would upgrade any module. Another thing captains can do is auto-manage your special weapons. If you have many ships and especially with different abilities, it can be hard to track all the cooldowns and what it is useful for in the heat of the battle. Captains can use the special attacks on their own and all you have to do is click on the ship with a captain, go to the captain's submenu, and click on Auto Manage. Then the captain will be using special weapons on their own when the energy requirement and cooldown permits. Number 8. Station upgrades. Do you wish for better deals and more options in stations? Do not worry, as the higher the station level, the better the items are for you. You are able to upgrade station to higher levels by just using station services, or you can actively raise the level donating Omni Supply to the station in Conquest mode or completing missions to upgrade the station. Number 9. Selling items. When salvaging lots of ships, you will quickly find out that your equipment inventory and possibly the item inventory is filling out quite quickly. You can sell the excess items in stations under Equipment or Items submenu. Equipment storage is infinite and having equipment is good to have for buying new ships just with the hull and thus saving money. But too much equipment clutters your inventory badly, so to help you with managing it, you can use the button to sell in bulk. You press button A on certain items to select it and continue, and it will be in the selected list until you either click wrongly or sell all selected items. We used to not have this and had to sell one by one, which was annoying, but more tools are coming soon for sorting and easier managing our inventory. Number 10. Energy management. Do you find yourself with empty hard points, unable to mount weapons or equipment? Do not worry, this is by design, so the game somehow balances your loadout compared to someone else. You can help with energy management by installing a reactor, but sometimes even that is not enough. Here comes Captains to the rescue. One of the perks of the Captains is a max energy modifier. If you apply a Captain with that perk, you can get more energy points to install more or better equipment, at the detriment of other bonuses, where someone may have different modifiers and can outplay you on a different aspect. So use at your own risk. Number 11. Death. This is a game of persistent universe, which means if you lose a ship, you lose a ship. If you go out of the game and back in to reload, you will stay without your lost ship. There is no save reload as the game saves your progress non-stop, so you must be vigilant with losses. That is by design, your choice matters. You must also be somewhat wary of your own flagship. If your flagship gets killed, you get killed, so you lose ability to manage the rest of your fleet. At that point you become a spectator in space, seeing the battle play out on its own. Not ideal, but you do have an option to be saved. Upon your flagship being destroyed, another one of your ships will attempt to salvage you. If successful, you will take over that ship as your flagship and you will regain control of your fleet. Number 12. Buying better ships. In order to buy a ship, you must dock to a shipyard and buy it from the ship's menu, where the ships available rotate randomly each time you jump into the system. Generally, the bigger, the rarer, and better ships are shown at higher level shipyards, which level 5 is the highest. So if you want some big ships, you must jump in and jump out repeatedly, or you can use the build it option, which is much more expensive but available instantly. It is also important to know that in order to even have the availability of a certain ship, you must first find it in the wild, kill it, and salvage it to get its blueprint. Only then you would have it available to you.
Shipyard maintenance update. Dry dock bay 3 will be unavailable for the next 48 hours.
Number 13. Speed tiers. There are several tiers of speed in this game, and it greatly depends on the ship status. For starters, if we take a normal ship speed at 400 meters a second, that will be with the balance system power on your starter ship. Then, if you choose either power to weapons or shields, that speed will be halved by 50% down to 200 meters a second. Should you pick the energy to engines, you will achieve a super cruise scenario at 200%, doubling your ship speed to 800 meters a second of your base speed. It is important to note that these are the speeds when not engaged. If your status changes to engaged, your speed will be halved no matter the settings you are in. For instance, if you have set power to weapons, it will be halved, and when engaged, halved again. So your speed will be about 25% of its normal speed, and this applies to all scenarios. Super Cruise will be at 100% and Balance will be at 50%. You can still raise speeds with the right engines and captains, but the engage modifiers will apply regardless. Number 14. Fixing the ship and modules. Do you get damaged a lot and risk losing a ship constantly? Do not worry, you can improve your chances to fight another day by using consumables to repair mid-flight. Important consumables for you to know are a hull patch and a repair kit. Hull patches fixes your health points and repair kit fixes your subsystems. Subsystems start performing poorly with the more damage you get, so they should not be ignored. There are also advanced versions of both. They slowly repair HP by the second, so it is not fix it immediately kind of affair. Repairs in stations will fix both in an instant. Number 15. Weapons nomenclature. Naming of the weapons may be intimidating but confusing at first glance, as it all mostly looks like a bunch of random numbers and letters. But I'm here to tell you the naming system is actually quite simple and elegant once you understand it. So here it is. All turreted weapons are put into 3 different weight categories. These are light, medium, and heavy. And thus all of the turreted weapons will start with the first letter of their weight category, L, M, or H. This way you know for what kind of ship it is meant, and when you look at the ship's hardpoints you immediately know what weapons belong here. They will also be already filtered out by this mechanism. Next you have some form of shorting of the name of the weapon itself. Like for instance, cycling turret will turn into CT. After the name is a number of barrels the turret has, except for the turrets who are single-barreled. So you usually have a number of 2, 3, or 4, or no number. In some cases, you might have one more letter after the number, which signifies a modification, for instance, between just a laser, where there is no letter, and pulse beam, where you get the letter P after the number. So in instance of this weapon called LCT4, we can decode the name into Light Cycling Turret 4, which means it is with 4 barrels. And that is the gist of the naming. Same applies for missile launchers and others, so do not be intimidated when you see all the letters and now you know what it all means. Also, by clicking on any weapon, you always get the stats open for it in its name decoded up top. Number 16. Interdictions.
It's a hard lock. Interdiction field fully engaged. Prepare for real space transition.
When traveling between two systems, you are not safe. You can get interdicted along the way by a random pirate fleet. When this happens, first your bridge crew starts to talk about it, and shortly after you drop out of warp facing the enemy fleet. Do not worry, as you are able to immediately warp out before you get engaged. At first it will take a bit before you get the prompt to drop your cargo and fight. That triggers when you get close enough to the enemy, so time-wise it will vary. When dialogue gets triggered, you still have about 30 seconds before engagement. You can either choose to engage immediately, drop the cargo, or just ignore the prompt. Engagement starts immediately after the countdown, so by this point you had your chance to bail out. Dropping your cargo will empty your cargo hold completely, and you will not have a jump fuel to get to your destination. Thus, you will take a lot of damage anyway. It is important to know that if you do not have enough fuel to warp to any system, you will get only one option to jump to the nearest system, and that is by developers' design, to not keep you stranded. So if you don't like the odds, jump as fast as you can. Number 17. Station Link. Are you annoyed by waiting a lot for your ships to dock to stations or jumping between the stations? Well, you are in luck, as I have good news for you. Let me introduce you to this piece of fine equipment, the Station Link. This specialist equipment is exactly what you think it is. When mounted in your fleet, you can instantly access all the stations within the system. No need for docking or waiting around. Immediately open the menu and use station services. The downside is that it's stupidly expensive. On its own, it can cost 1 million plus. And also it is a specialist equipment, so you do need a specialist ship in your inventory. The two that are readily available are cargo ship and utility ship, which you need to haul around, eating into your available fleet value. It is a trade-off for players on what you need more. Highly recommend though. Number 18. Increasing the fighting odds. Do you feel like you're being overwhelmed all the time? Try this tip next. When facing an enemy fleet that you are not sure about the odds of fighting it, turn around and spaghettify the enemy formation. Put your power to engines, and provided your fleet is configured for decent speed, you just book it away from them, just out of range, where you then put power back to weapons, turn around and let the enemy come to you one by one or in much lesser numbers. The first ships will always be smaller and faster, so you take them out fast before bigger and tougher ships come strolling by, at which point you reduce their numerical advantage and get a much more favorable odds. Repeat the process until it goes your way. It is advisable to do this while you still have shields left, because you will receive a lot of hits doing this while running away. But the good part is that shields regenerate much faster than your health with patches. Number 19. Disengaging from a fight. Do you feel like odds are too great and there is no way you can come out of this without significant losses? Then try to disengage. Very similar to tip number 18, you put your power to engines and run away from the enemy fleet. Goal is to get out of engaged status so you can jump out of the system. To get out of the engaged status, you must not be shot at and you must not shoot at the enemy for 1 minute. So just super cruise out of range and keep going until conditions are right. However, if you have some really slow ships with you, like freighters, or you did not spec your ships for speed, you may need to make a sacrifice. Pull all ships away from the enemy ships as discussed and make your slowest or the most endangered ship to keep you engaged in a totally different direction as a sacrificial lamb to lead the enemy away from others. Once they killed it and you made enough distance with the rest, you just wait out the clock and jump out. No shame in fighting another day when losing a ship is a massive problem for you. Number 20. Hunting for scrap. If you want to get as much equipment and things that you don't have, it is a good idea to kill lots of ships and keep salvaging. This way you can save money, earn money, and gain new toys to play with. If you have a good and well-balanced fleet that you are very confident you can take on higher odds with minimum damage, you can go on a hunt for as many ships as you can possibly face. A good way to achieve this is to take all the jobs you can for pirates and killing enemies in general along the connected systems, not unknown systems, mind you, and have your cargo on overcapacity. This way you can turn basically every jump into engagement by combining missions with interdictions. Salvage galore. Bonus info. Fuel. Between two connected systems there is no fuel cost, totally free. However, if you wish to jump to an unknown sector which is outside of established warplanes, you will have to use jump fuel to jump to that sector and back. When you click on an unknown sector, it will show you how much fuel is required and how much you currently hold in the cargo hold. It is important to know that the number provided is only for one-way jump, meaning you need to carry twice the required amount or you will find yourself in trouble. But due to the possibility of interdiction, I advise that you carry about 2.5 times the required amount. And for jumping around in general, I advise to carry about 30% of the cargo hold for emergency jump due to interdictions. That matters especially on really long lanes. Those were the 20 tips to make you a better player or to understand the ins and outs of the game. They are all applicable for open world and conquest, but in majority also for gauntlet and endless game modes. I hope you liked the information I have provided and it helped you, so I ask you to help me out and subscribe for more. Have a nice day and enjoy this awesome game. Bye bye.